Anamind specializes in helping companies build better capability in planning and forecasting. Their offering includes cloud-based planning software called Anamind, consulting services, and training. Anamind started in November 2015 and has offices in India and USA. Their employee strength, though less than 10, has 50% women professionals. Engagement includes working with usually supply chain teams of businesses along with the sales and marketing. The clientele of Anamind has names like Johnson& Johnson, Levi's, Hewlett-Packard, Relaxo, RK Foodland, Enamel, General Mills, Asian Paints, etc. Thank you, Rishi, for taking this time to have this webinar with our audience. You can start the webinar, Rishi. I will just share my screen.
Sure. Thanks, Smita, for that introduction. That was my first slide as well. And good afternoon, all ladies who have joined in, and thanks so much for joining in this webinar to listen to me. Makes me feel important, so thank you for that. Right, so again, that was my introduction, and you have it in front of me, but I'll speak a line or two more about Anamind just to clarify your understanding of what we do. I'll then talk about my background, where I started working and what has been my career journey, my education background, and apart from work, what else do I do? Beyond that, I will briefly share about my experience of working with women, and I know that's a dangerous zone I shall get into, but I'll still share my feedback. After that, I'll talk about the situation that I believe most of you are in, which is coming back to the corporate world. In my opinion, what is the possibilities and opportunities that that you could look for, and more importantly, how you should plan to approach this comeback, and what should you really be looking into when you do approach. So that's my agenda today, and then I can take your questions. Right, so as Smita mentioned, I currently manage this startup, as it's called in today's world. It's a fairly new company, started in November 2015, called Anamind. We are a specialized branch of what you would hear of term called analytics. Predictive analytics is one of that, and within that, what we do is basically forecasting. And what do we forecast? We basically work with the product companies. As you can see, the names like J&J, Levi's, Hewlett-Packard, any consumer product company across the sectors, which want to build capability to be able to predict their demand, right? So what we do is we should be able to predict very accurately how many Levi's jeans are going to be sold from the store. And why do we need to do that? That's pretty simple. It's the common sense that only when the companies are able to predict how much they are going to sell, would they know how much should they produce. And there is a lot of lead times involved in terms of material to be procured, manufactured, moved to the store, and then sold. So that's where they need help. It's nothing new. It's been pretty advanced in economies like US and Western Europe. Over here in this part of the world and Southeast Asia, it's being driven more by gut feeling and Excel sheets, and that's where we are helping companies to become more advanced in terms of their capability to do this. We have developed our own cloud-based software that the companies can use. We do it as an outsourced service as well for some companies who want our help to build the process. And we also offer training to the companies who may have their own software, but they want to train the manpower better. So that's a brief about Anamind. We have decent clients, but we have still a long way to go. You can see that I mentioned about 50% women professionals, and that that's where I'll talk about my experience of working with women apart from my previous work experience. Yes, there are a lot of women that I work with. At times it was not an equal opportunity employer and a mind because there were more women than men. So we had to really balance it out in other way around. So yeah, we're still less than 10. We have people in India and in US working from there. Smita, you can go to slide 2. Okay, so before Anamind, for a short period, I was also a freelance consultant, and before that, I was with a company called Apple, and I'm sure most of you have heard of. It's the same company that Steve Jobs started, and I was heading their forecasting and planning division in India, which was under finance. It was a very small company. Then when I joined Apple, people really didn't know much about the company. I had to explain them that it's the same company which makes iPods, and it was a very different scenario by the time I left. I've also worked with Hewlett Packard, you would be aware of that, and a company called McAfee, which makes security softwares, antivirus and stuff. It was for a brief period after I quit, was acquired by Intel, and then it's back to on its own now. What I wanted to let you know that while my background is in, my education background is in accounting and finance, I did jump around various functions during my working career. So I was with, I of course started with finance and accounts. I moved to planning. I took roles in analytics, BI. I also, was a project manager for worldwide system implementation in McAfee. I also spent a year or two in forensics. So I did move around because I used to get bored of a repetitive job. But I also wanted to learn about different functions and facets of the business, which today helps me run my own organization versus what I would have been had I just spent time in accounting and finance and probably grown just there to be a CFO. But my moving around really helped me, and I really encourage that a lot of people who are not averse to taking risks. I was also fortunate to travel in different parts of the world and work with people in different geographies. It's very fascinating to know how people are very much similar across the globe, but yet culturally very different in terms of their sensitivities. Again, an experience that has helped me today. Again, in my own organization, I have US nationals working with us in Anamind. We also deal with people in different parts of the world interact or pitch for our solutions. So apart from seeing the, as a tourist, which business travel allows you to do, but more than that, I think working with people in different parts really something experience I really enjoyed, and I really derive a lot of it from that experience even today. So beyond work, now when I say beyond work, I'm still not going into the extracurricular activities. This is a little bit of serious work beyond work, beyond our own job. I've been a freelance writer with the Times of India for the last 12 years. I still remember when my article was first published in a supplement of Economic Times on its first page. I was thrilled. I'd never seen my name that way on the paper. I used to read Economic Times for several years until then, but that was really a great experience. And one of my colleagues, one of my women colleagues actually encouraged me to apply for that freelance opportunity that Times Group had advertised. I used to just write because I used to like writing, and I used to share it with my few of my colleagues. And my neighbor in our office, a lady who used to sit next to me, read it, and she said, "You must for the newspaper." And I just took her advice. I have something that adds to my CV very, very strong today. Just this initiative. I also like teaching, so I've been a visiting faculty at Symbiosis, in Bangalore, and also another business school in Pune when I was there. So that's something I enjoy a lot, and it also talks about my capability, or one of my skill sets when I put this on my CV. I'm just giving you bits of clues on why I'm sharing this information with you, and how you could derive from your life, or what you should really highlight, or how you should engage beyond your work to supplement yourself as a brand. I also say yes to a lot of requests that come to me without knowing how I'm going to do it, and what I'm doing right now is one of them. When Jobs for Her approached me, I just said yes. I didn't know what I'm going to talk, and I just put this together. So I hope you find it useful. I do similar thing for some of the other requests that come to me for the conferences. So I've been fortunate enough to be called for a couple of conferences in Middle East and in India and in Europe. So I've been a speaker there. It again adds to my personal credibility. In fact, yesterday I received a request for another planning conference in Mumbai, so I don't know what I'm going to do with that. I try to be part of some of these clubs like Rotary. I'm no more part, but I couldn't devote as much time. But these clubs have a lot of very high-profile, corporate or businessmen as part of them. It is a great place to network and build your brand and get your things done much easier than you would do just on your own. So that I would again encourage that you push yourself, put it out of your comfort zone, and do things that perhaps you don't know how it would play out. But our best comes out when we believe in ourselves and put ourselves out of the comfort zone. And all things that you're seeing right now in front of me, whether it was front of you rather, whether it was jumping different functions without previous experience, traveling, or doing one of these things which I didn't know how it would play out, has actually turned out pretty good for me. It has helped me build my personal brand, as well as give me a great experience, network, and colleagues. So that you can move forward. All right, a bit of something that I don't find much of relevance now after so many years. I qualified as a chartered accountant when I was in Pune. That was my primary education, apart from doing my bachelor's in commerce and master's in economics. Somewhere between my career, when I was in McAfee, when I was in Apple, I got myself certified as a professional forecaster from institute in US. Incidentally, today I represent that institute in this part of the world. I also did my executive management program from IIM, being in that institute and interacting with the professors there, which I think is the real asset of the institute, like IIM. But again, one thing that I wanted to share was that I spent too much time in the classroom. I don't know how these credentials sound to you, but most people have given me feedback that they're reasonably strong. After my 12th, as I started doing chartered accountancy, those of you who are aware, we need to go through a mandatory articleship. I think things have changed today, but during those times it was much more rigorous. So starting from that point throughout until today, I've been doing and adding to my educational qualifications while working. All these things I did as I was working. It was a little tough, but I wanted to put a certificate stamp on whatever I wanted to sell myself as. So if I was in forecasting, I thought it's important to have a credentials of a forecaster associated with my name because that's how it complements. So I didn't want to do something which I would never use later on. And I see a lot of people do that. I see a lot of kids today who come and join us, who join engineering, but halfway through realize that they don't want to do it. I know that's pretty young age, and most of us go through that. But thereafter, I always recommend that you first get into the function, realize that that's what you want to do, and then get yourself certified, because you'll also understand academic things much better when you are applying it, rather than first learn it and then look for opportunity to apply. That's okay until university, but thereafter you must keep yourself updated. You must get yourself certified, but do it something that adds value to you. If somebody wants to have a question or something, I can hear some noise in the background. I'll take it as no. Well, apart from work here, this is truly apart from work. I love traveling, and I think most people I meet share that interest. I need to see a lot of India still, and I need to see a lot of the world still. I've been fortunate to be working in functions and companies which let me travel at their own expense. So I was fortunate to see a few parts of the world and interact with people there, drive there, walk around. That was very useful, but I need to do a lot more. That's my primary goal for rest of my living life. Reading, yes, but non-fiction, I usually get inclined towards the spiritual, inspirational books of late, and that's perhaps because of what I'm doing today, which is very tough. I like to volunteer. Again, JFH is part of it, and whoever comes to me for any help, I like to get involved. Road trips, driving is one of my other interests, and photography is related to it. So anything which is about 1,000-kilometer radius from Bangalore, I prefer driving than taking a train or a flight, if time permits. Writing, I've already spoken about it. It's kind of on hold right now because I don't get mind space to think to be able to write, but I'm sure that's something that I'll take on as I get more time, as I used to before. Smita, you can go ahead. Ladies, thanks for being patient for this phone log. I'll finish soon and then hand over to you. All right, yeah, this is a space. While I put it together, it does make me a bit nervous that talking in front of all of you. But my experience of working with women, I've worked with a lot of women throughout my working career, and I was very fortunate. I'm observing more closely today than I did when I was having somebody else's money to play with. So. What is good? What is good about all of you? First thing that comes to mind is sincerity. I find women much more sincere about work than guys are, including myself. With sincerity, obviously, reliability and responsibility comes with it. I think responsibility comes natural with your gender. That's how you are at home. Because when I have women around in a senior position, it's just kind of a motherly role that gets taken up. Everything gets organized. The ownership basically comes very naturally. Well, less of work gossip. I specifically put there the word work, and I don't know how many people will agree with me, but I have observed this that women do this far lesser than men. Throughout my career, and as an employer today, I think it's extremely important from the company's perspective. And what is the work gossip? It's all about things that are not in our control, but we would like to talk about it, about others at work, about business direction, and the promotions, the seating, and all the water cooler discussions related to work. About the bosses, what I observe, and and I don't know if it's me. If that is the case, then I've been very fortunate. But women talk about a lot of other things, but less about serious gossip about work. which as an employer I really prefer today, and that's why I would like to have them around more. Again, more mentorable than men because they are less headstrong. Not all of them, but I find them more moldable. So it's my experience has been that I've been able to impress upon the logic. A lot of women are highly logical today, and they need to be impressed upon why something needs to be changed. And if you do, then they're happy to do it. While with men, it's a bit of an ego issue to point out issues and to be able to change. It may also happen that with two men there's always a friction. So I don't know how it works with men and women, but as far as I've been able to change women for good much more easily. Soft skills, definitely much better in terms of handling, and I think my wife was giving me feedback this morning that I need to be more softer with people and be more nice to them. So she definitely has better soft skills than I am, that I have, and I think all women have. So I think what you see here, my feedback is more from today as an employer than a little bit as a colleague. Sorry, I just took a water break. So sorry about that. Yeah, so lot of good things, and because I'm in favor of all these things, I probably ended up having 50% or more ratio of women at Anamind. What can be improved? Let me put it that way. I think you'll agree that comes with the gender that women are more sensitive. So sometimes while you spend a lot of time giving feedback, you spend a lot of time consoling as well, and that's kind of a double the investment. So I've had a lot of those experiences when I was harsh to start with, and I had to really console to end with. So that's a lot of time investment. A little bit of thick skin would help there. The other thing is that women are a lot of times, I'm not generalizing it over here, but I think the skill set that they have, if they were more ambitious, in my experience, they would probably do much better for themselves. So a lot of women are contented. They're happy doing what they're doing, and they just want to go home after that, despite being very good. So, which is a personal choice. So I don't have this just an observation that same people, if they were more ambitious, they would probably do a lot better for themselves. But it's a personal choice. Personal distraction, yes. So there's less of work gossip, but a lot of personal distraction at home, which again comes with the responsibility at home. But then for work, it can be a not so good situation for from an employer perspective. So things that can be managed, and then put it on the left-hand side bucket. I don't know if you're going to corner me a lot on this aspect when you ask me questions, but I'll share what my views are. Go ahead, Smita. Smita? Okay, I'm not going to go through this. This is some of the feedback I put for you to get a perspective in case you started thinking of me as not so great person. So this is just a marketing gimmick from me. Some of the people who work with me were very nice to leave me some feedback in LinkedIn. So I just copy pasted it over here. I think I know it's up to Smita if you want to give them a minute to read, or they can do it later.
Rishi, we are running short of time, so I think we'll do it later.
Sure, go ahead. Please go ahead. All right, so in terms of possibilities for the returning professional, and first of all, let me tell you, we do hire a lot from Jobs for Her. It's the first site that I go to before I go to Naukri.com. And I do meet a lot of fellow startup people and from the industry when I was in industry. Good thing is that the break is no more a bad thing, whether you've taken it just to travel or for the kids, whatever it is, but it's no more considered as something that can be a showstopper as it was probably a decade ago. So it's easy to come back, and all functions need help. Whichever function you were belonging to, you could actually get back. However, you do lose out in terms of your experience while you were at work. Sorry, away from work. So if you are in functions like analytics and finance, it gives you an equal opportunity because they are knowledge based. So if you are up to date and you have done your homework well, if you have used the time to also brush up your knowledge and upgrade your skills, then you should make up for most of the lost time. Areas like sales where really experience counts a lot, and you would probably be starting a bit lower than what you would have been had you been in that role throughout. It could also be difficult to get back on a similar positions on the market because you lose touch, and that's like really on-field job. So those are a little difficult in terms of gaining parity. But you could work way up quickly if you're hardworking. So just a general sentence is that you have your options open just about in any field. However, I would also like to mention that's the last bullet, that if you were not too happy about what you were doing, then this is a good time to switch your career, because you're coming back. So there's no much of baggage that you can't shed, and it's good time to try something different as well. Again, do some research, get yourself acquainted with what you could do, and approach the area. So you don't necessarily have to do what you were doing. And I know a lot of women who got into something very different that can give them time and money both than a regular job that they were doing until they took a break. So something to think about in case you fall in that category. In terms of whom you can approach, the startups are a new category of market available to you. So definitely it is a good place. It offers great time and location flexibility, which means that you could actually work from home, or you could work part-time, few days in a week or a few hours in a day, things like that. If you are that's what you're looking for, then startups are a pretty good place. We all look for good people with less cost. So if you can supply that demand, then that definitely is a good space. If that is not a constraint, then definitely you could go for bigger companies. All of them are very open to people coming back. There is a huge shortage of skilled manpower today, and women are definitely favored for stability. So you should go ahead and approach, and sites like Jobs for Her really help you get that visibility. Startups do offer a very accelerated career opportunity that you can become in terms of designations. You can easily acquire something very, very quickly than you would do in your corporate job with years of work. However, there is no high guarantee of long-term career being stable in a startup environment. So which comes with a established corporate. So that's in terms of risk and return. At times, startups, you need to put in much more work if you're taking a full-time position, because it's like raising a baby, and you guys would, those of you who are coming from that experience would know that is you probably lose your night's sleep for days to raise the baby, and that's the same thing with the corporate. So at times, if it's not a part-time or freelancing engagement, then startups can be far more taxing than a normal 9 to 6 kind of a corporate job. So be wary of that. Something the whole fancy excitement of the startups can wave off very, very quickly as the work sets in. There is a huge pressure to stabilize the company, and so that will be demanding on you. Smita, I can move ahead. All right, I wanted to share with you on how you should really start to approach the corporate world again. And first thing is that if you, depending on how long your break is, but do go back to the time that you stopped and ensure that you have refreshed your memories of those times in terms of your work, and you are pretty much aware of or remember what you were doing, because if you're away for longer, say a year or more, then you perhaps those memory kind of wave off. So it's important that you do remember that. Then do research on what's going on in your area of work or area that you want to get into. It should be a new area. It's important to do some research before that. Join groups. LinkedIn is still away from media like Facebook, so there's serious information available on LinkedIn. There are groups, there are discussions that you must join in. There are events if you want to explore the life in startup world, or what different startups are in and what you can offer them and what they can offer you. There are loads of events which happen in most cities, most big cities in India. There are groups like Open Coffee Club, which are, at least as I know, are active in Pune and Bangalore. So there are Google groups that float around emails. There are Facebook groups also available for startups, and anybody can join them. You should join them just to get a feel of what's going on, what the problems people are facing, what kind of opportunities are coming up. We post all kinds of requirements and shout for help in those groups. So it will give you a flavor of what's going on in this world. For the bigger corporates, you need to attend some of the meetings or conferences that keep taking place in all major cities, but especially in Mumbai and Delhi. If there are free events, then definitely you should go. It helps you network. That it helps you listen to the speakers. That will give you an idea of what what are the relevant issues and topics that are being discussed today. It will also give you a lot of visibility, all of these things. So start contributing if somebody's asking for help, and if it's in your domain, start helping people. So that will help you become visible and add to your personal brand. Do online courses. I don't know, I hope most of you are aware of the sites called Udemy and Coursera. They're absolutely brilliant. You could learn just about anything in those sites. Udemy is paid and free both. Coursera is also paid and free both. Udemy is the aggregator site, just like Amazon or Flipkart, which gets you courses from just about anybody in the world. We in Anamind have our courses on Udemy, and people from about 100 plus countries have subscribed to it. Coursera is a university-related website, so you can do university courses, and universities like Princeton or Stanford, MIT. You can do courses from there, sitting at your home. These are live video recorded courses. You can have your colleagues across the world doing these courses with you. Absolutely great. I have done courses from Coursera and it was very, very good. So these are to help you come up to speed. On the other hand, you do as a course to sell, then you should figure out how to do these, make these courses, or you can take my help. We have just finished doing several courses on Udemy and upload it over there and start earning money. So it's one-time effort, but your efforts get paid while you are not active. Also prepare a pitch on how you are relevant to the job that you want to apply for. To be honest, what you need to do is sell the idea to yourself first before others, that why you should be taking up this role. Think, make a pitch before you start approaching. So be confident about what you are getting into, before you start approaching others. So do all the things that I've said before, or anything else that you find relevant before you start actually approaching. So let's go to the next slide to see how you should approach in my opinion. First things first, and this is truly coming from my experience from jobs for her especially, that I see a lot of irrelevant applications, and that tells me that people really don't, a lot of people really don't read the JD properly and what they're applying for, and that doesn't give a good impression about you because you just seem very desperate to get anything that that's available. And truly, as an employer, I don't want such a person, right? I want a person who's confident about what he or she is going to get into. So do read through JD and only apply where you think it meets your expectation and the expectation of the employer or a company which is advertised on the site. If you're approaching from sites like Jobs for Her, or if it is through a reference, it still applies the same thing. Write a note on why we should consider you, right? What makes you good, and trust me, those it requires an effort. So if you're not applying to 100% of the opening, then obviously this effort would be less because you are curating, you are choosing what to apply, which means that you will have few of the openings to apply for, and hence you should make it personal. It really makes a lot of difference. And I hired a girl who wanted to switch from engineering role to marketing role, and she actually convinced me on a mail itself that why I should consider her. So more than anything is, she sold herself before she even came and met me. I think those things are important. It shows your keenness and your effort to apply for the job. In terms of salary, definitely when you're returning back to corporate world, you may have to take a hit in your salary for sure, either in terms of below what you were drawing before, or what you would have been had you continued working. And I truly believe that you should be open about that idea. Again, a lot of people are not. They at least want to go above what they were drawing. It's your personal choice, but I think if you really want to get back and get back to work that you were doing, correct your mistakes, make better choices today, then you should be very, very open about the pay part. Talk more about yourself, talk more about the work, talk more about what the expectations are, and also more about how you can make a difference. People who are, in my opinion, and that's what I've done for myself, and that's what I look for in the people that who are more confident about work, make up for their pay much, much faster than people who are stuck with the money part. In terms of your break, quickly, and I think Smita is hinting that the time is really running out by moving slides faster than I could finish them. But something that I should mention again from one of my experiences of a girl who came to Jobs for Her, who took a 1-year break to go around the world, and then was returning back, and she actually made that as a great selling point on why she's a better person, a better professional, because of the break she took. And it depends on your selling skills, how you do it, but make it a positive thing rather than something making it sound like something you missed or being apologetic or whatever. But every experience in life counts, whether you're traveling or you were raising a baby or for any other reason. But every skill set is important in a corporate world where you manage people and work. So bring it about in your discussion or your resume in a creative way. Yes, yes, Meta, you can go forward. I think we are done. Okay, I'll go through this in 2 minutes. So we still have like 40 or 20 minutes for you. Yes, a reminder with all the casual thing, and I perhaps with about 17 years of experience, I'm still a school thought, but I still believe that we should dress up well at work, and I think that still makes a lot of difference. You still get approached and get better opportunities if you dress up well. yes, we are losing the formals, but that doesn't mean that we dress shabbily. If you're in casual, you should dress up well, and that's one thing again I like more about women, that mostly women dress up better, and at least give it some time, maybe because of the natural behavior. But in terms of your about the feedbacks and being vocal about your thoughts, extremely very important, especially if you're dealing with a person like me. I like people who stand up and speak, because it's easy for us to notice you and easy for you to get noticed. So don't be a silent listener all the time. Should not speak rubbish, but wherever you can, you must speak out. Um, Social media, something a term which did not exist when I started, but it's all over the place today. Yes, you should be present, but be careful about what you are putting in, because now even machines are able to trace your or make your persona depending on your social media profile. When I say machine, that even the job sites are searching through, doing a background check on what you're posting on social media to create a profile for yourself, for the employers to know you as a person. So be very careful about what you're posting, the comments you're writing, the pictures you're posting. Treat yourself as a brand, that okay, how do I build this brand of, say, if I'm the person Rishi, that what should people read about me, what should people know about me, and that's important. Joint relevant groups may, as we mentioned, discussed before. In terms of resume, my last feedback, that something which I was told when I was starting out to work, that it should not be more than one page if you are a fresher, or up to 2 years, and not more than 2 pages for rest of your career. It still holds true. I just hate when people have more than 2 pages of resume. No, nobody is as important to write a book on themselves. More than 2 pages is a book. Fit yourself in 2 pages. That would give you a better visibility, and keep it short, but keep it very, very creative on how you put everything. It should be your brochure. So you would definitely get a better visibility than a person writing 4-page revenue. All right, Smita, I got the message, and I'm going to stop now. Open for questions.
Thanks, Rishi.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you for being patient.
Thank you, Rishi, for such an insightful experience. It's different hearing from a male mentor and also that from a startup. So it's good to know from an employer perspective your experiences and your insights. So I'll open the forum to the ladies to start their questions.